we talk about something called an international sphere. In this international sphere, what do we have? We have different countries, okay, and different countries are interacting with each other. Let's say this is India, this is USA, this is Canada, नहीं लेते, Pakistan, and China, Russia, and एक और country बताओ. कनाडा नहीं लेना है, वो तो है ही नहीं किसी काम के कनाडा वाले. चलो, now what do we have is we have an international sphere whereby countries are interacting with each other. Okay, this international sphere, this is how interactions are taking place. We can have, in addition to countries, we can also have something called non-state actors. So when we talk about non-state actors, we are primarily referring to either the international organizations like UN, or we are referring to NGOs, or we are referring to MNCs. They are not state actors, they are non-state actors, but they also have a role to play. We will also have interaction with these actors. Now recently Putin is saying we are going to come up with a Starlink killer. Now Starlink is primarily the contribution of a MNC, but it is playing a role whereby this MNC is interacting with Russia. This kind of a relationship will also keep on going. Although we are lesser interested in these things, we are more interested in what is going on between these players. These are called as state actors. So in this international sphere, primary agents are the state actors which are interacting with each other, and this is basically international relations going on. Now in this entire sphere, when I want to talk that how this sphere functions, what is the basic principle of the interaction between countries, why we are partners of USA since the last 24 years, when if we look at the time period from 1950 to 2000, we see that we were not even talking to US. And now what has happened so drastically, what has happened such that a drastic change has happened in the India-US relations. What is the reason for this? Why it has happened? So when we try to look at why countries interact with others, it is as simple as saying why you have multiple sets of relationships. You may have somebody who's your acquaintance, you may have somebody who's your friend, you may have somebody with whom you share a romantic relationship, you may have somebody like your parents with whom you have a separate relationship. You have multiple relationships. India also has multiple relationships. Some are simply that we are acquaintance. Some are, oh, we share a certain trust. We are more than acquaintance. We may be called as friends. You have friends? You have friends? Do you have friends?
Yes, sir.
What basis do you make friends?
First, interest.
Interest. Okay, so you have an interest in some person, then only that person is a friend.
Trust and understanding. Understanding.
Okay, now you said understanding. Can I say trust? Understanding leads to building of trust. You will not share trust with an acquaintance. You all may be acquaintance. You're not friends. Why? You just met here, you all are preparing. You'll ask for notes, and the other person may not give the notes, and you'll say, oh, he's not giving me the notes. Can happen. You have different sets of relation. India has different sets of relation, and it's simply because we have to interact with so many players. We can't be friends of everyone. We can't be acquaintance of everyone. What are the bases on which I make relationships? Now, our relationship in our personal sphere, they are, when it comes to family, when it comes to having special relationships with people, they are built on the idea that we have an understanding, there is an element of love, there is an element of trust. That determines the relationship. That carries on the relationship. With acquaintance or with somebody, let's call them partner. Why partner? Let's say if you talk about different uh, companies. So Reliance as a company will have multiple partners. The largest shareholder is definitely Mukesh Ambani, but there will be other partners also. They also have a stake. Tomorrow, if you want to open a company with someone, you will open probably a LLP, limited liability partnership. Okay, the idea is partners. Two people coming together, creating a company. Why? They want to do something collectively. But are they friends? No, they're not friends. They're simply coming together because there is some common interest which they want to realize. I want to earn money. You want to earn money. I know polity, IR, governance. The other person knows economy, geography, history. I'll say, let's start UPSC coaching. We both will open a coaching institution. We are not friends. We are simply together because we want to provide a service, because we have some capabilities, and through that we are going to earn money and you are going to get services. That is what is happening here. They know few things, they are teaching you. You want to know few things, so you are ready to pay for that. That is what is happening at the end of the day. The exchange is this only, that you want some services, they have the expertise, you came with your money, you are taking the services. If I am having this partnership with another person through which we are collectively realizing interests, that's only partnership, that's no friendship there. In international relations, there is only partnership. Why? We will interact with them on the basis of interests. It is the interests which determine the relationship in IR. That means if I am saying India did not have a good relation with USA in the Cold War times, and today India has a good relation with USA, then the first thing which should come to your mind is probably their interests have converged, or probably their interests are same. That is why they are working together. That's the idea. Earlier it was not the case, or some things took us apart. We'll see what the things were. That is how you have to understand international relations. It's absolutely same with respect to how you deal with your personal relationships. That is what will come here also. So first thing is convergence of interests. This is something which is going to be a principle on the basis of which things are done. Okay, this is the first principle, convergence of interest. This will drive relations between nations. Second aspect is, to understand second aspect, let me compare this international sphere with the domestic sphere. Now, this is an international sphere. Let's make a domestic sphere. In domestic sphere, what do we have is, we have a state. State has executive, legislature and judicial wings, and we have citizens who are given rights. Okay, so when we study constitution, we say constitution has created 3 organs and constitution has given rights to the citizens, and they keep on interacting with each other. Now the point is, in domestic sphere, if citizens don't agree to the law made, what will happen? If you don't stop at the red light, what will happen? You have to stop at the red light? Who said you have to stop at the red light? Has somebody said that you have to stop at the red light, or you just do it because you are a good citizen? Law says. So doing it because the law says, or doing it because the violation of the law will lead to a punishment? Why you are doing it?
Moral responsibility
Moral responsibility. What's the moral responsibility here?
towards our lives and towards others.
Okay, okay, good. So the idea is, we have a system through which we have formulated laws, and one of the laws is that you have to stop at the red light, simply because only then we can have a stable way of transportation. If you don't abide by the law, then you will be punished. So you stop at the red light. When you are stopping at the red light, you are also abiding by the law of the land. You are also abiding by the law of the land. Now, if you don't abide by the law of the land, you know there is going to be a punishment. And that is what will force you to continue abiding the law. In the first instance, you did it because you said, okay, it is the law of the land and I am a law-abiding citizen, I'll stop. But then you were in a hurry and then you thought, okay, I'll jump the red light. But then the idea that, okay, a punishment will be imposed on you, because nowadays they have this camera also through which they'll send the challan to your email address. So what do? You regulate your behavior that I'll not indulge in breaking the law. That is what you do. It is the fear of punishment here being the challan, that forces you that you will not break the law. That's how humans work. The problem is, whenever we try to break the law or whenever we don't abide by the rules of the game, there are these rules of the game which has been created. They are continuously creating the rules of the game, they are implementing the rules of the game, and they are checking whether the rules are being implemented in the right manner or not. That is what is being done. Create a law, implement a law, adjudicate and interpret the law. Legislative, executive, judicial wings. Now the idea is that if they don't abide by the law, a punishment is going to come and they are going to provide the punishment. Right? Go to that sphere. Now there are some rules there also. That's called international law. China says, I'll not agree to the international law. We say, why are you not agreeing? Because they said, you do what you want to do, I will not abide by. There is an international law. China does not abide by the international law. There is a domestic law. You don't abide by the domestic law. What will happen if you don't abide by the domestic law? There is going to be a punishment. The problem is there is no punishment in international relations. Why? You don't have a global policeman. Here you have police, here you have judiciary. There also we have created a judiciary, but the point is, let's consider a situation in India where Supreme Court passes an order. And that order is that for the contempt of court you have to pay 2000 rupees as fine. But now you are not paying the fine. So Supreme Court has passed an order. For XYZ whatever reasons, you have to pay 2000 rupees fine. You are not paying the fine. Can Supreme Court do anything? Can Supreme Court do anything? Meaning, if you don't abide by the order of the court, can Supreme Court do anything? Anyone? Polity कर लिया तुमने? बताओ. If you don't abide by the order of the court, what will happen? Court can punish you. Court can punish you. Do you know what is the punishment? Nature of punishment. Not the exact duration of punishment or the exact term of the punishment, but the nature of punishment. पेनल्टी तो पहले ही 2000 रुपए की है तुम पर. तुमने पेनल्टी तो पे नहीं की. अब क्या होगा? What will happen now? Court can basically direct the police कि इसको उठाओ जेल में डालो. हमारी बात नहीं मान रहा. वहां हमने बना दिया इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस. इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस, इंटरनेशनल क्रिमिनल कोर्ट, permanent court of arbitration. These are all international courts. They are passing an order. China says, I will not listen to you. The problem is they can't tell somebody कि China को जेल में डालो. We don't have a global policeman. From this, what I want to tell you is, international sphere is chaotic, because whether the states will listen to the law which has been created or not, this cannot be ensured. Here you can ensure it. There you can't ensure it. And in a situation where, let's take the example of Philippines and China. Philippines and China, they have been fighting since approximately last 8 years by कुछ एरिया है, फिलीपींस कहता है मेरा है, चाइना कहता है नहीं मेरा है, सिंपल सी लड़ाई है, ठीक है। यहाँ देखते, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट फिलीपींस इज सेइंग दिस एंटायर एरिया बिलोंग्स टू मी। इंडिया के कोस्ट से 200 नॉटिकल माइल तक क्या होता है? एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन, EEZ. Every country under the international law has rights from their coastline up to 200 nautical miles, which is called as the exclusive economic zone of that country. Every country has it. The problem is Philippines says this is my exclusive economic zone, and now China comes and says no, my exclusive zone is this. So there is a conflict between Philippines and China. So they keep on fighting. ये अपने नेवल वेसल लेकर जाते हैं, वो अपने लेकर जाते हैं, दोनों ऐसे खड़े हो जाते हैं। क्या करे? चाइना कहता करो तुम, हम तैयार हैं। इनकी लड़ाई हुई। फिलीपींस took China to permanent court of arbitration in 2016, and permanent court of arbitration ruled in favor of Philippines and ruled against China, and China said we don't agree with the judgment, and they are saying no, we'll continue to do our activities in supposedly the waters of Philippines. So they have been at odds with each other since 2016, and this keeps on happening, and last 2 years this frequency of confrontation has increased further. and इस साल तो क्या हुआ, मार्च और अप्रैल में चाइना वालों ने फिलीपींस के 3-4 बंदों को भी घायल कर दिया। ये चल रहा है। तो कह रहे हैं भाई क्या हो रहा है वहां पर, कुछ भी हो जाएगा क्या? द प्रॉब्लम इज फिलीपींस डिस्पाइट getting an order from the permanent court of arbitration that the claim over that area, the area belongs to you and your claim is stronger than the Chinese claim. Despite that, they're not getting anything. In a situation whereby the law is not working, what will you do? In a situation whereby we have created rules of the game and the rules of the game are not being abided, what will you do? Tell me, why is China not abiding by the rules? Why is China saying that despite permanent court of arbitration saying that that area belongs to Philippines, why is China saying that I will not abide by the ruling? I want you to be realistic in your assessment because I am introducing a new principle to you. तो फिलीपींस के भी तो है नो लीगल फ्रेमवर्क। जिसकी लाठी, क्या मतलब होता है इसका? जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दैट? सुना है तुमने? भारत से हो ना तुम सब लोग? माइट इज राइट, मुझे आता है माइट इज राइट, बिग फिश ईटिंग स्मॉल फिश। अब मुझे ये बताओ, बिग फिश ईटिंग स्मॉल फिश, माइट इज राइट, तुम्हारे साथ अगर कोई ऐसा करने लग जाए, तुम्हारी जिंदगी में अगर ऐसा होना शुरू हो जाए कि हम दबा रहे हैं तुमको क्योंकि हम दबा सकते हैं, क्या करोगे? तुम क्या करोगे? मैं पूछ रहा हूं तुमसे। अगर कोई आकर गए हम तुमको दबा रहे हैं क्योंकि हम दबा सकते हैं, व्हाट विल यू डू? कोर्ट के पास जाओगे, पुलिस के पास जाओगे, बिकॉज देयर इज अ प्रोसेस थ्रू विच देयर आर रूल्स ऑफ द गेम विच हैव बीन सेट। रूल्स आर, तुमको भी फ्रीडम है, तुमको भी है। गांव में चले जाओ, जमींदार कहेगा ये सब संविधान कर रख कर आओ, यहां तो हमारी चलेगी। ऐसा होता है? माइट इज राइट, सिंपल सी बात है। बट इन डोमेस्टिक स्फीयर द आइडिया इज द रूल्स ऑफ द गेम विल बी implemented in a fair manner, and that is why you know that somebody who has more power than you will not be able to subjugate you. And that is how we create a fair system. The problem in international relations is that the courts do not have the authority to enforce their decision, and that is when the one who has power, they do what they want to do. So Philippines and China's equation, China is a much more powerful country than Philippines, and they are saying जो करना है कर लो, लड़ाई करोगे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, आ जाओ लड़ाई करना, उसमें भी हरा देंगे तुमको. They are doing this because they can do this. And the problem in this is that whenever we talk about international relations, whenever we talk about this international sphere, the problem is this sphere does not have a policeman. Despite having an international law, we are not able to enforce that international law. And that is when countries realize that in order to protect themselves, what they need to do, they need to grab as much power as they can. And that is why the second principle of international relation is that power is the most important determinant for any country, and every country will try to go for the pursuit of as much power as possible. So pursuit of power is a very, very important consideration. Why? I don't want somebody subjugating me. I have to ensure my survival. I have to ensure my territorial integrity. How to do it? Become stronger. यही अगर क्रूड एग्जाम्पल मैं तुमको डोमेस्टिक स्फीयर में दे दूं कि जहां पर पुलिस तुम्हारे लिए नहीं खड़ी है और कोई आकर कह रहा है दबा देंगे, तब तुम क्या करोगे? तुम पावरफुल बनोगे ना, तुम फिजिकली पावरफुल बनोगे, तुम हथियार वथियार भी लेकर आओगे, और तुम हो सकता है विधायक जी के साथ या किसी गुंडे के साथ लिंक भी बना लो कि ऐसा थोड़ा है, तुम आकर कुछ भी कर जाओगे. That's how you'll secure yourself. The same thing nation does also. They'll build their capabilities. They'll also have alliances. Why? Protection. Protection of your territory. Protection of your existence. So we have a threat from China in the sense that they try to grab our territory. Philippines has the similar threat. Japan has a similar threat because China has made claims over the territories of India also, Philippines also, Japan also. So we'll have to protect ourselves. How to do that? China is a $20 trillion economy. We are not even a $5 trillion economy. What to do? क्या करूं? जो इसको टक्कर दे सकता है उसका दोस्त बन जाता हूं, उसका पार्टनर बन जाता हूं. Entry of US. That is why US enters into the India's equation. Why? We can't balance China. There is huge asymmetry of power between India and China. And there is a hostility. Huge asymmetry of power होने से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. प्रॉब्लम क्या है? हॉस्टिलिटी है. 62 की वॉर हो चुकी है, उसके बाद हॉस्टिलिटी है, और ये हमारे एनिमी पाकिस्तान को कंटिन्यूसली सपोर्ट करता है. सो मेरे लिए तो इसको हैंडल करना इज अ मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ माई फॉरेन पॉलिसी, एंड आई विल डू वट एवर पॉसिबल फॉर मी टू डू so that I take care of them, in which I have to go for acquiring more and more power. All countries in international relations, because of the fact that they don't have a global policeman who will ensure that everyone plays by the rules of the game or everyone plays in a fair manner, this can't be ensured. So what happens? Everybody is like, let's have more and more power. So pursuit of power then becomes the second most important principle governing international relations. First is countries will come together to pursue their interests. Second, countries will continuously go for acquiring more and more power. And this is true for any country you pick up, because it is true that they will have to protect themselves, and on this basis only they will have a relationship with others also. So there is no sentimentality, there is no emotions in IR, because either you talk about interest और यू टॉक अबाउट इमोशन. दोस्त है, दोस्त के साथ रिलेशन में इमोशन आती है, तो वहां पर इंटरेस्ट नहीं देखा जाता. बट जो पार्टनर है उसके साथ इंटरेस्ट देखकर पार्टनरशिप बनाकर काम किया जा रहा है. उसके साथ कोई प्यार नहीं है कि हाँ कोई बात नहीं, इस बार प्रॉफिट में तुम 60% रख लो, मैं 40 ही रखूंगा. क्यों भाई? दोस्त के साथ तुम फिर भी कह दोगे चल ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, 100 रुपये माफ किए मैंने, कर्जा था. दोस्त के साथ कर लोगे, वहां नहीं करोगे. वाई? टू सेट ऑफ रिलेशनशिप्स आर डिफरेंट and IR is only about interests. So that is what drives countries together. Now, if power is a very important determinant of international relations, we go to the extent of saying that let's define the world order in terms of power. दुनिया को ही हम पावर कैसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है वैसे डिफाइन कर देते हैं. Which means if I talk about the times of Cold War, this has been called as the time period of bipolar world order. How power is distributed in the world. From 1945 to 1990, the power was distributed in two poles. One pole was USA, second pole was USSR. World is bipolar. From 1990 to largely 2001, the world is said to be unipolar. Why? 1991 USSR got disintegrated. From 1991 to largely 2001, some will say till 2008, there is no consensus. This is the time period when it was only the United States which was the most powerful country of the world. But after 2001, or for some people 2008, what has been happening is, after this China has also come up and India has also become important, and there are some other emerging economies also which have become important, such that the power now is distributed in multiple poles. Hence the world is moving towards becoming multipolar world order. 2024, if we say, how is the power distributed? The power is distributed in many poles. Power is distributed here in two poles. During this time period, power is primarily in one pole, which is USA. Here, power is distributed in multiple poles. Multipolar world. One pole is these two countries. They are on a very separate pedestal. Why? Because they are more powerful than any country of the world. USA, military power, economic power, nobody can match. China is matching USA in terms of economic power and slowly and steadily trying to catch up. Although militarily China is way behind USA, but economically China is trying to match US. And no other country comes closer to where their power is. So we'll say, okay, this is...
Sir, what about Russia?
No, Russia does not have economic power. रशिया की जीडीपी कितनी है? Not even in the top 5. Not even in the top 5. Russia. Now, if we say this is one pole, that okay, if I am talking about 100 units of power, 50 units of power is with USA and China, for the sake of making it a little bit easier for you. Then there is another set of countries where we can say comes UK, Russia, Japan, India, okay, Germany, France, इटली और इंडिया को एक साथ रख दे, जरूरी है, खुश रहेंगे एक साथ. चलो, एक ये सेट ऑफ कंट्रीज है. देन वी हैव अनदर सेट ऑफ कंट्रीज वेयर बाय वी हैव यूएई, वी हैव ब्राजील, वी हैव साउथ अफ्रीका, वी हैव टर्की, वी हैव इंडोनेशिया, वी हैव मेक्सिको, वी हैव सऊदी अरेबिया. They can be considered to be another set of countries which have some power, some economic power. Turkey will have some influence. Nowadays, Syrian crisis, you might have seen, Turkey is also a player. So, power comes through various things. Economic power, military power. Do you have influence in the region? Regional power, Turkey has. It's an important player of West Asia. I can say, okay, this is the most important pole, this is the second most important pole, and this is the third most important pole. That is why we are saying the world is multipolar. Australia रह गया. South Korea. Anyway, it's not exhaustive, illustrative list. So, this is how the world looks like today. This is how the world looked like at this point of time, and this is how the world looked like from 1945 to 1991. Bipolar, unipolar, multipolar. You can do this for the time period before 45 also. 19th century, which was what was going on, do you know? 19th century में क्या हो रहा था? If you have done your world history or if you have done your modern Indian history, you might know a little bit. If you have not done, then it's okay, fine. जब आएगा तो एक बार देखना. There was UK also, Britain being a very important power. France was an important power. Russian Empire होता था, Ottoman Empire होता था, Austro-Hungarian Empire होता था. Multiple powers. World was this. But then world became bipolar, and then world became unipolar, and then now world is again becoming multipolar. What is this? Power transition always keeps on happening, and it will keep on happening no matter what. But depending on where the power is, what is going to happen? They are going to shift their relationships.